has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast.
Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money.
It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
All right, into hour 3 we go. We're still talking baseball after we just saw Real eliminated and Bayern Munich both tossed from the Champions League. Upsets for Inter against Bayern. And, of course, the Arsenal Gunners with the stunning knockout of Real Madrid. And they did it in Madrid. And their fans are all crying in their soup.
What a shame. It really is. What a shame for all.
I mean, I don't know how I'll ever get over it.
I don't know how we will either. 2 more games tonight for the baseball before we move on. The Angels in Arlington against the Rangers. It'll be Jose Soriano and Patrick Gascan Corbin. Minus 135 for the Angels, plus 115 for the Rangers, and a 9.5.
I like the Angels tonight and your boy Soriano.
Angels and Soriano. Corbin stinks, man. Oh, does he stink. And the Rockies, who are off to a great 3-14 start this year.
Yeah, they look great.
Look out. The Dodgers, of course, will bring Bobby Miller, who hasn't pitched in a while, back into the rotation. German Marquez goes for Colorado. Minus 320 again for the Dodgers, plus 255 for the Rockies, and an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll still run line it with the Dodgers. I think they'll spank the Rockies like they do every night.
Why not? Getting involved there with us for that. All right, how about we get some taters for tonight as well? Everybody loves taters.
Yes, sir.
To get involved here. And let's kick it off. We'll start off with one on the chalkier side. I watched Cal Raleigh a couple at bats last night in Cincinnati. Man, he just missed a few. He hit one to the deepest part of the park in center field. Probably would have been a homer in like half the park. So I think tonight we go back to him against Martinez, plus 300 for Cal Raleigh at Great American in Cincinnati. Jarren Duran homered last night for the first time this year. He hits him in bunches, and he's got great history against Littell, who's given up a ton of homers. We've seen balls flying out in Tampa to begin with. Give me Duran at plus 460 tonight. Max Muncy has had a horrible start to this season. I mean, he has been dreadful. If he can't turn it around tonight, he never will. He destroys German Marquez. 7 for 32. 4 of those 7 hits are long balls. Plus 480 for Max Muncy tonight in L.A. against Marquez. Next, now look, I want to go after Patrick Corbin in this Ranger-Angel game. The numbers, though, are scary. I mean, I saw Trout at like plus 200. You know, I saw Jorge Soler at plus 220. I like the other side, too. How about Burger Time against Soriano at 5-1? I think there's a bunch of places you can go in the Angels-Rangers tonight. I'm going to go with a little Burger Time. Vinny Pasquantino is going to welcome Clark Schmidt back to the major leagues tonight. Plus 550 for Vinny P to go down the right field line at the Big Yard in the Bronx. And Gunnar Henderson also has not rang the bell yet this year. I think it's time we change that. I know the Orioles have had a hard time. They've seen a lot of lefties, which has been bad for Gunnar too. Well, they're going to see Gavin Williams tonight. And I think that's the perfect spot for Gunnar, who's 2 for 2 with a homer off of Williams in his career. So plus 550 for Gunnar Henderson as well. Raleigh, Duran, Muncy, Berger, Pasquantino, and Gunnar Henderson. Taters for Wednesday night.
Duran, Bacon Burger, and Gunnar. It's just got to evolve. It's got to happen.
It's got to. Hopefully we get ourselves another big night here. And I know you wanted some A's. I had to take the A's out because
the wind.
It's blowing in at 20 miles an hour at that White Sox park in Chicago tonight. I don't want to mess with the weather and the wind.
Don't mess with the South Side.
Never mess with the South Side wind down there in Chi-Town. There you go. Baseball for tonight. How about hockey?
Everybody loves hockey.
Everybody does love hockey, and we now know basically what all the matchups are going to be in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. There is still one yet to be determined, and that's because we don't know who's going to get that spot between Montreal and Columbus here over the next 2 nights. But a lot of things were sorted away last night. The Leafs beat Buffalo 4-0. They clinched the Atlantic Division. We talked about this for weeks. It was a big thing for them to do. Now they will face Scotty Ottawa in the first round of the playoffs. So big, regional rivalry battle there with Toronto and
I think
Ottawa.
it's gravy for them.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely gravy for them. But this is who they needed to play. They didn't want to have another year playing Tampa, Florida, Boston, all these teams that they have a hard time with. Now they get Ottawa, who hasn't been in the playoffs in 7 years, and they got a chance to take them down in the first round.
The Penguins knocked them out. Remember when they went on their run against the Penguins?
Yeah.
And they almost beat the Penguins, and the Penguins ended up winning the Stanley Cup that year. It's the last time they've been in.
Last time Ottawa was there. Columbus beat the Flyers 3-0. Obviously, that was in regulation. What does that mean? Columbus is still alive. They are hanging by a thread, and they need Montreal to lose tonight. They cannot get a point. Montreal gets 1 point tonight against Carolina, and they will get that last spot. Columbus needs them to lose and then beat the Islanders at home in regulation tomorrow night, and they could still get that final spot.
So you want Carolina to win that game tonight at the Bell Center is what I'm guessing, and then you want to see them win that game tomorrow night at home.
I have full disclosure. I'll let the future do the talking. I bet Columbus to make the playoffs back in December at like plus 750. So I'm rooting for Columbus to make it. I think that Montreal can lose tonight. We've seen stranger things in the NHL. I mean, how many times have we seen this? I mean, remember the Penguins a couple years ago lost that game to Chicago, last game of the year, and everybody said there was no chance they'd lose, and it happens all the time in the NHL. So I don't think that's a walk in the park. It's just the one that's most recent on my memory, which is why I had to bring that one up. For nothing's ever set in stone in the NHL. Tampa beat Florida 5-1. So Tampa will have home ice against Florida in the first round.
They're beating their ass the way the Kings beat the Oilers' ass lately.
They certainly are. And I think that that's going to continue on into the first round. I like Tampa in that series against the Panthers in the first round of the NHL playoffs. As far as the West goes, the Blues beat Utah 6-1. They clinch playoff spot. They will play Ferrall in the first round. That is set in stone. Minnesota beat the Ducks 3-2 in overtime. Now, a few things from this game. Calgary won. They ended up coming back and beating Vegas. So Minnesota needed a point to clinch the spot and not have this linger on another day. They scored with, 22 seconds left?
20 seconds left, yeah.
20 seconds left to tie the game, secured the point, so they were in the playoffs, and then Gustafsson went to the bench and told the coach, put the Flower in so he can maybe get, because he's not going to, this is last year, and he's probably not going to play unless Gustafsson
last game ever.
Put him in. Let him get another win, and sure enough, Flower made a couple great saves in overtime. They end up winning the game, and he got his 575th win as a goalie, second all-time in NHL history.
Now all we need is for Gustafsson to tear his groin and have the Flower play to the playoffs.
Get the Flower, get in there, send them on a magical run. They will play Vegas in the first round. Minnesota. That is their gift for making it. And as I mentioned, Calgary beat Vegas. I have some odds for you for both the East and the West, and some Crosby notes that we will do later on. Even though the Penguins aren't making it, people still love and respect around the league Sidney Crosby. And I will tell you about that after I talk to Stewie from Harbor Town, baby. Hilton Head. Let's go.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Fantasy baseball. Let's be honest, George. There's a lot of things antiquated about this game that we love. Man, like I would love to try some new little wrinkles here. And so, for Sam's question here on the show, I think it's at least fair to ask the question: with catchers in fantasy baseball, and sometimes we're playing in 2 catcher leagues, why at this stage of the game? I have no idea. If you're still doing it, you're behind in the times. Buy or sell, catchers should get a fantasy point for throwing out runners trying to steal. So essentially awarding a defensive play to get an offensive point in fantasy. You gonna buy or sell this?
I mean, so this never even crossed my mind. I hate the catcher position because they get hurt so much. You play in a 2-catcher league, I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's like, what are we doing here? There are not 24, assuming a 12-team league, there are not 24 catchers to draft in baseball. There's just not. Although I'm the first person to tell you, Herrera's probably out there in a bunch of leagues there because we didn't see that power coming. Should he get a point? I think if you're going to do this, by the way, why a point? What are you throwing out? 1, 2 base runners a week? It's 2 points. Who cares? You know, should it be more? I mean, if we're going to do this, should we do it right? Should it be 5 points? You know, so I would probably go that direction. If you're going to do it right. Give it more points. And by the way, then let's go further. You make an error, you're losing points. No one gets an error anymore. All right, if you get an error, it means you really screwed up. I was watching that Yankee-Pittsburgh game yesterday because I think it was who cares? Somebody hit the ball hard to Isaiah Felifa at shortstop. He didn't have to move, but he dropped it. They called it a hit because he hit the ball hard with 3-hopper. Oh, hard hit, error. So let's do that too. So yeah, I'm kind of on board with this, but you need more than one. It can't just be a point that's meaningless. You need more than one.
Fantasy sports today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast on a Wednesday, a golf Wednesday on C2C as we get ready for the RBC Heritage signature event down in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Harbortown Golf Links, and Keith Stewart from Read the Line is there. And look at this shot, the iconic lighthouse in the background, which you will see a lot this weekend as the guys are coming down 18. Keith, it's great to see you as always. How are you? Looks beautiful, by the way. There, looks beautiful.
You know, Mike, it's Golf Wednesday. It's great to be seen down here. I don't know if you could hear it, but there's a little Jimmy Buffett in the background over there on the deck. When I get done with you, they're going to get done with me. I can't wait.
That is the perfect, that's the perfect weather, perfect scenery. Like you said, when you're done, you just go over there, you listen to a little JB, get yourself a little tap beer in a plastic cup, you know, one of those situations, and you just kind of cruise out for the rest of the night. There's nothing like it. All right, before we get to the RBC this week, I have not spoken to you. What an unbelievable Sunday. It was just and I said this earlier in the week to Scotty, and I'm sure you agree with me. It is the best sporting event in sports, period, this year. It was better than the Super Bowl, better than the NCAA tournament. It was better than anything. The final round of the Masters with Rory from hole 1 all the way to the end of the playoff was riveting television. It was wild from a gambling perspective. It was everything you could ever want over a 5.5-hour period.
Mike, I mean, I had to get out of there Saturday night. My body couldn't take anymore. My brain, it was like, it's just unbelievable. And, you know, there's a lot of recency bias in the younger media, and they say this is the greatest of all time. Don't get me wrong. That was a top 5 Sunday in Masters history, but let's not go overboard. I mean, Tiger had one shot when he owned 3 trophies in 2001, and he took care of business. It didn't take him 17 tries. But I'll tell you this much. I'm happy for Rory. We were not on Rory because he's unbettable at 6.5 to start the week. And, you know, outside of where you could have hit him after round 1, when he was there at even par, you know, he just looked like Rory being Rory. So I just went along for the ride, and boy, was it one hell of a ride, Mike.
It sure was. And yes, there were 10s and 12s Thursday night after he finished with that double bogey on 18. But it was an unbelievable Masters. And you're right, there is always some recency bias. But we had some guys that were good to us, and it was not a total loss for us throughout the weekend. Let's get now to the RBC, which is a signature event we've discussed in the past. Do we like having these things the week after a major? Maybe, maybe not. It's not the best thing in the world. First, let's start here, and that is at Hilton Head. It looks beautiful, and I'm guessing, Keith, it's going to be beautiful for the entirety of the 4 days.
Mike, it is going to be absolutely exquisite for the next 4 days. There's a little chance of precipitation, maybe in the evenings, but really, I just don't see it happening. The sun is out. The temperature is going to be in the high 60s, low 70s all 4 days. The only challenge these guys might face a little bit, and you can kind of see it behind me, is that there's a little bit of a breeze out here. We are on the southern tip of Hilton Head, which is an island. Atlantic Ocean is out here in front of me, and, both afternoons have been somewhat busy. I know it's breezy, but I know it's afternoon right now, but I'm kind of blocked by some of these tents right now from the wind. It's blowing on the 18th hole. The flag is outstretched. The wind along these, very narrow corridors here at RBC at Harbor Town Golf Links are going to be a challenge.
They certainly are. And there's no changes, right? We're still in the same spot. No hole changes, no course changes. Everything's good to go. It's the same Harbor Town we love and know from the past few years. Scotty's here this week. He won last year. I saw him shooting out the drive into the water with the cannon blowing and all the pomp and circumstance they do there. But once again, an unbettable number at the 300s, 350, 360. He hasn't won yet this year, Keith. Are we getting close to, obviously he's not going to come all the way back to the 10s, but are we getting close to like the 5s or the 6s with Scotty unless he starts winning some tournaments?
I mean, Mike, look ahead to Quail Hollow, the futures. Scotty's still the favorite over Rory. Rory's won there 4 times, and he just won the Masters. So if they're not flipping that one, I think if Scotty's in any field, he's going to be the favorite in all of them until maybe midseason. People are just so worried about, the books are just so worried, the liability they have against them. If that number even crept near double digits, it would be an absolutely smash button for everybody here in the betting world because of what happened last year. That being said, his presser yesterday didn't give me the most optimism that this is going to be his breakout week. He talked a lot about his struggles with the driver, the left miss with the driver at Augusta National. He said he was rested, much more rested than last year. He didn't have kind of the adrenaline dump that he had from winning Augusta. He feels good about, where his physical and mental recovery is. But as far as his game goes, he still has, even Scotty has some question marks about Scotty.
Where do you like to look for this week? Do you like to look for guys who were in contention at the Masters, guys who maybe missed the cut and have had a little extra time to clear their heads, maybe even guys who weren't at the Masters at all, because there's quite a few of them in this signature field? What do you look for this week?
Well, the first thing I'm looking for, Mike, is 10 of the last 13 winners here at the RBC Heritage played in the Masters. So I'm looking at the leaderboard from the Masters. Now, the perfect sort of situation for me is a guy like Xander Schauffele. He played good enough to be T8, and we never saw him in coverage. So that means that he never really contended. He never really spent all of that mental anguish on that Sunday. He didn't ride that roller coaster with Ludwig, with Rose, with obviously Rory, with Bryson. Bryson's not here, but he didn't ride that mental roller coaster. Scotty was in it for a long time. He spent some energy there. Xander is it's a win-win situation. We know he's playing very, very well. We know he's striking his irons very, very well, which is something that you absolutely must do here at Harbor Town. And T8 with no stress, that's the kind of guy I'm looking for. Or guys that, badly missed the cut there at, the guys that we were riding, like the Henleys and the Strakas and how much JT underperformed, that I'm not going back there this week.
Yeah, I'm not going back there too. And in fact, after last week, I put 2 guys on the official no-fly zone for at least 6 months, and that is JT and Lowry. And it hurts me to not bet Lowry. Oh. He's one of my favorite guys, but him and JT are on a no-fly zone for 6 months. I can't do it. I'll see him at Portrush. That's about all I can actually do with Shane Lowry coming up this year. I will come back. We're going to get Keith's picks, including, I think, one of the guys he was just talking about with that T8 at the Masters last weekend. He should absolutely be the second choice on this board, and he's not. Keith Stewart, read the line. We're back right after this.
Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread water, so I think that puts it in a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, we need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than the Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC. That is King Ty Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back. Ferrall, Coast to Coast on a Wednesday, a Golf Wednesday on C2C. Keith Stewart from Read the Line is with us from Hilton Head as we get ready for the RBC Heritage. He has the iconic lighthouse right behind him, which you will see this weekend as the guys come down 18. All right, Keith, outrights for you at the RBC. I think you already dropped the breadcrumbs on one guy who's going to be at the top of your board.
Xander Schauffele plus 1,400. He should definitely be the guy that's right behind Scotty Scheffler like he was all last year. 8th at Augusta. The approach at Valspar was, strokes gained, career, right? We're getting close to the PGA, and he has to defend one of his two major titles. And, there's two guys on the range today that I saw hitting the golf ball extremely, extremely well. One was Xander. The other is Cantley. Cantley hasn't won in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. Xander's winning. I'm going with Xander. The next guy, two gloves, plus 4,000, Aaron Rye, right? He's an approach machine. Remember back in 2023, we had the overnight first-round leader contest. Hovland was up there, and then Rye passed him the next morning. He shot 63. For me, it's just a question of the putter. I saw him today working on the practice putting green with his PGA coach, John Graham. It looked like everything was in order, at least well enough to capitalize on so many birdie chances that Rye's going to have. Wyndham Clark. This one was a little bit out of left field for me, but I'm starting to see a trend here. At plus 5,500, last year, he missed the cut badly at the Masters. He finishes third here. He had a chance to win until he started playing ping pong in the trees right there on the right of the par 5. But overall, you got to pay attention to what this guy does on positional golf courses, Mike. TPC River Highlands, he's good. TPC Sawgrass, he's good. Here, he's been good. And, of course, he won on a positional golf course, Pebble Beach in the AT&T. He's good. Signature events, he's proven that he can sometimes be a big game hunter. He was good at the Masters. Not great, but he was good. I do like Wyndham Clark here, and I'm going with one more. Tom Hoagie sandwich. I know you love him, plus 9,000. Everybody looks at last year's finish. That wasn't the full story. When they came back the next morning, it was freezing. He made a 9 on his closing hole. Had he just shot even par on that hole, he would have finished top 5. Hoagie's irons have been impeccable lately, right? 3rd at the Players, 5th at Valero. He was great at Augusta National, 14th. The approach and the putting right now are spot on. Tom Hoagie.
Yeah, I remember it all too well. I sure do. For Hoagie, had him for the T10 here last year, and I'm going back to the well with him this week too. All right, placements for you. I'm on this same guy for the top 10 because let's face it, Keith, he has been great in these big events this year, at least finishing in the top 10. Not winning, but finishing in the top 10.
Well, Mike, let's be honest. Corey Connors isn't winning anything, but this course is a perfect fit for him. He's already had a third at API. I'm not sure if that's a perfect fit for him, but he had a third there, 6th at the Players, 18th at Valero, where he's won twice. That's his worst finish in over a month, 8th at the Masters. His last 5 have been across the board so well-rounded. This is the type of golf course where you have to be good at all the little things. Corey Connors has been great at them lately, top 10. Top 20, Daniel Berger, another guy. In his last 7 starts, since Phoenix, he's had 6 top 25s. I'm taking him for a top 20 because I like the number. And then Bud Cauley, 3 top 10s in a row, didn't play the Masters, but I think he's still going to be spot on. The ball striking has been great, plus 220 for a top 20. Then top 30s, right? We only have 71 players in the field, and we have no cut. Top 30s, I'm going with Patrick Rogers. And it's kind of an odd name out there, but here's another guy, TPC River Highlands. And here, he's been good throughout his career. You know, both Pete Dye designs, both places where you got to move the ball from A to B, and you have to be particular about your ball striking. He was T5th last year. He kind of had a chance to win. I know Scotty in the end won by a couple shots, but there were some guys in there, Clark, Rogers, a couple others that had a chance to contend. And then the other guy, you know we love him, Sammy Valimaki, cannot be ignored for what he's been doing lately. I love him for a first-round leader tomorrow. You know I'm not big on those bets, Mike, but he has an 8:10 tee time. He is statistically very good when he goes off early on a Thursday. He's in the second group, right? I'm going to talk you into this. Plus 12, plus 125, right? Plus 125 to 1. I mean,
125 to 1.
125 to 1 for an FRL.
Let's
all right.
go.
And then,
let's go.
You know, placement wise, approach, putting, down the board, the guy gets hot. He could be electric tomorrow.
And finally, you never have to twist my arm if you got a first-round leader that you like, Keith. Believe me, I'll be in, and I'm going to let the Prime Minister Cam Stewart know as well. Quickly, head-to-heads. Everyone loves Cantlay here. You said he was striping it well. He's got a bunch of top 3s in the last 5 years.
Well, just to back up the Valimaki thing, I saw him on the range today. He looks extremely comfortable. I mean, this is a young kid. He's a big bear. He is a fantastic fun, and he's been playing really good for the last month. Now, Cantlay over Thomas. Thomas lost strokes at Augusta National, which has the widest fairways ever with his driver last week. Cantlay, it was a stripe show today on the range. I'm going Cantlay over Thomas. I mean, he's got 6 top 7s in his last 7 starts here. Come on.
Keith Stewart, read the line from the RBC. We're back on Wednesday right after this.
Who else? Who can maybe provide a test? Who can maybe be a challenger and a contender elsewhere around the Eastern Conference?
Top 2 is going to be a runaway. But I guess if I had to choose, Ben, it's going to be the Knicks. At least they have the talent to somehow upset teams that are better than them, but they can't in the regular season. Maybe it changes in the playoffs.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread water, so I think that puts it in a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
They have already decided, it would appear to me, from what you're telling me, that they're satisfied with the quarterback room as it stands now.
Shedeur Sanders does not have the value to go at number 3. I know they need a quarterback. It's about this season with Russell Wilson, okay? No question he's going to be the starter. Winston will back him up. But the future they can get next year.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Stewie had it all going at Harbor Town. Hilton Head, that's what's up.
I think that's of all the places that they stop on the PGA Tour, and they stop at a lot of really great spots. That for me is like top 3 or 5 I want to go to. Like I want to go to that place down there.
I've been there a bunch.
At Harbor Town, and it
played
looks
that
just so awesome. So laid back, the lighthouse, though it looks like an unbelievable course. Like
you could live there, bro. They got 30 golf courses there. There might be 50. I can't keep track.
Amazing.
I played almost every one of them. I've been down there a ton of times in my life golfing. It's the best place to, frankly, golf vacation, I think, in the country. I told you I like Cabo, I like Palm Springs, and I like Hilton Head. That's it.
Gotta have it. All right, back to the hockey.
Everybody loves hockey.
Now, over the next 2 days, I'll give you more of the numbers in terms of the series prices with all these series now locked up. But let's at least see where we're at with the conferences here. The Panthers, and I'm a little surprised at this, especially now that we know that they're going to have to do it, really without having home ice in the first couple of rounds at minimum. They are still the favorites in the East, plus 340 for the Panthers, followed by the Hurricanes, Lightning, Capitals, Leafs, and then you get an enormous gap to the Devils, Sens, Canadiens. So there's clearly those 5 at the top is who the books think is going to be in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, look, it's just brutal to I try to guess is basically what you're doing here. I don't think the Panthers are repeating as Stanley Cup champs, so I'm gonna dive off of that. I think they've had 2 great runs, and I think it ends here. And then, so obviously, I think the Lightning are live. I think the Capitals are very live. And my outsider, frankly, would be the Leafs. And I would put them on the outside looking in based on their failures over the years. They always choke. They always lose. It's just since 1967, it's inevitable that they're going to choke. But I think they're a really good team. And I do not believe any of those. I'm not buying the Hurricanes. And I'm not buying anybody else, the Devils, Senators. It's not happening. So it's in that window. It's a short window for me. And if it's not Florida, Tampa's got to beat them, right? So then they would be alive. And then I think that they would have a shot. So I think, Tampa and the Capitals and the Leafs, for me, have the best shots.
As far as the Western Conference goes, really the same. You've got about 5 teams bunched at the top. And then it separates a little bit. Stars are the favorite, plus 340. It's weird. The Stars are the favorites to win the West. They are a small dog to Colorado in the first round. So figure that out in the series price that I saw
How
today.
is that possible? They're going to win it all, but they can't win their first series. Good luck with that.
Right.
I like the Avs over them already. And then, I think Vegas is in play for me and the Jets. I think they're really good teams with, deep teams, and the Jets, for me, deep and with a great goalie.
And look, I think that obviously the Jets in Vegas are going to get, you'd like to think, a little bit of an advantage here. Now, no disrespect to St. Louis and Minnesota, but, Dallas and Colorado is going to be a war. Edmonton and L.A. is going to be a war. I don't think that Winnipeg and Vegas are going to have the same type of issues in the first round as those other series.
But look at the respect the Kings get. They get none. And meanwhile, everyone that we talk to, and I guarantee you Elvis, Dennis Bernstein, thinks the Kings are going to beat the Oilers. The Oilers, to me, remember I said all year from the beginning that they would go win the Stanley Cup after losing it to the Panthers, that they would go get it done. My problem with them, Mike, is they've not lived up to that type of style. They're not good enough. Like, they have not played good enough hockey to win the Stanley Cup. You can it's optically, all you have to do is watch them. They don't look like the same team that was in the final, do they?
No, they do not look like the same team that was in the final. That's for sure. I told you yesterday, and I'm going to stay with it.
You are who you are.
I think LA is going to beat Edmonton this year. I do. I think that they're finally going to get them in the first round and move on. Sidney Crosby voted the most complete player in the NHL. The NHLPA's annual poll. So that's from the players themselves. Crosby, the most complete player. He has won or shared that title for 6 straight seasons. And for good measure, the players also said he got the most votes for who would you pick if you needed to win one faceoff in the game, and the smartest overall player. 20 years later, Sidney Crosby.
Jesus, what didn't he win amongst his peers? And look, he's still a great player, and he's 36, and he's getting all these accolades from his peers because he's still that great. And what's crazy is that, and I know you're going to talk about Letang, but Letang and Malkin aren't good anymore. They're not good anymore. They just aren't good anymore. And Crosby is still great. Greatness.
He's greatness. There's no question. Letang had another surgery, this time heart surgery.
He's had 2 heart surgeries.
Yes.
Remember when he had a hole in his heart before?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
God's name does this guy have 2 heart surgeries? And he's like, he was a pure athlete, a great player who's one of the best in the NHL. Not anymore. And now,
how's he still
after
playing?
A second heart surgery, I think he's finished.
How's he still playing? Would be my question to you.
Like, why would his wife even let him?
That's wild to me. It certainly is. And last thing before I get to tonight's games, of course, we know that this is the end of the line for Sam Rosen, longtime TV voice of the New York Rangers in New York on MSG. They announced his replacement, which wasn't a stunner to anybody.
No.
Because as I said to you for years, the only reason why Kenny kept schlepping up to that radio broadcast booth for the Rangers is because he was waiting around to take Sam's spot. Kenny Albert will be the new TV voice of the Rangers on MSG.
I mean,
so
Kenny does a great job, and there's no denying he deserves it. And all I know is I'm friends with all those guys, and I love Sam and Joe, and have been very good friends with them for a long, long time. And Sam has treated me just spectacularly in my career. No matter what I did on the air, as I was a lunatic on the air, crazy, wild, out of control, shock, jock, whatever you want to call me, have at it. But Sam was always great to me, and Joe, and they've always done the show, my show, over the years. Joe's been on this show a bunch of times. I just think the world of Sam Rosen, and I thought he was just a spectacular and brilliant hockey play-by-play guy, and anything else he ever did, he was good at that too. NFL, it doesn't matter. Sam's the man.
Sam is the man. Hell of a nice guy, as you just mentioned.
Very nice.
To deal with, always. All right, we have 6 games tonight, the penultimate night of the NHL regular season. Thank God it is over tomorrow. The game, really the only game of consequence tonight, is this first one I'm going to give you. The Carolina Hurricanes are in Montreal to see the Canadiens. The Canadiens are minus 145 now, this is pumped up to. Carolina plus 125, and the total is 5.5. Carolina tonight, Scotty, is basically sending the AHL team up to the game. They are playing no one in this one. Anyone who matters. The Ahos, the Jarvises, this, that, they're all sitting, and these kids are going to get burned. Does that mean Montreal shuts the door tonight?
It does for me. I'm not buying the minor league team beating a team that's desperate in their building. And if I were the captain of that team, I would literally be in that room saying, somebody better bust some ass tonight. We either win this game or guys are getting fired. Guys are getting dealt right out of here. I mean, win this game. Let's go win the game. Forget this 1 point nonsense, too. They need to go win outright, flat out, against a minor league bunch of hacks that have never played together before in the NHL. Give me a break.
Who else? Who can maybe provide a test? Who can maybe be a challenger and a contender elsewhere around the Eastern Conference?
Top 2 is going to be a runaway, but I guess if I had to choose, Ben, it's going to be the Knicks. At least they have the talent to somehow upset teams that are better than them, but they can't in the regular season. Maybe it changes in the playoffs.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread water, so I think that puts into a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, we need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They have already decided, it would appear to me, from what you're telling me, that they're satisfied with the quarterback room as it stands now.
Shedeur Sanders does not have the value to go at number 3. I know they need a quarterback. It's about this season with Russell Wilson, okay? No question he's going to be the starter. Winston will back him up. But the future they can get next year.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, the rest of these games on the ice.
Rest of these games on the ice tonight. Anaheim into Winnipeg against the Jets. Big lumber here. Minus 310. Plus 260 for Anaheim now with a 5.5.
Yeah, I'll puck line this with the Jets. I don't think they'll have any trouble with Anaheim.
The Red Wings are in New Jersey against the Devils. Now, they got the TV doubleheader tonight. Why the hell don't they have the Montreal game in the TV doubleheader? That's the only game that matters.
Like, what are you doing?
Like, I get it. It's Montreal, not a U.S. television market. I mean, put the game that matters on for all the hockey fans to see it. But it is what it is. Detroit minus 135 now on the road at the Rock. Plus 115 for the Devils and a 5.5.
Yeah, they're saying that the Devils are playing no one, is what they're saying here.
Correct.
They're give me the Red Wings.
Everybody.
Give me the Red Wings. The Devils aren't playing anybody.
They are not. They are getting themselves ready.
That is the national television game, and no players are playing in the game. I mean, what could be worse for TNT? They'll get a 0 share tonight, Bluto style.
Dallas is in Nashville against the Predators tonight. Dallas road favorites here. I got them down to minus 165, plus a $1.40 for the Preds and a 6.5.
I'll take the Preds. The Stars have been barfing all over their bib for the last 2 weeks. What have they lost? 6 or 7?
Yeah,
and they got them favored to win the Western Conference, and yet they're dogs to the Avalanche in the first round. So I'm taking the Preds tonight.
Vegas will finish off their regular season in Vancouver against the Canucks. This is now a minus 110 both ways. Pick them. I expect Vegas also will be sitting some guys tonight, Scotty. Don't expect a full lineup from them.
You know, I'm getting 5 key guys are all not playing. Give me Vancouver on home ice. They're not, like, Vegas is throwing the game.
Vegas is throwing the game. They certainly are. And then you can almost say the same thing for tonight, although actually Edmonton is going to play McDavid tonight. He is going to play against the Sharks. So that's why Edmonton is back up to minus 230. Sharks plus a $1.95 and a 6.5.
Yeah, I'll puck line this as well at plus 115 if they can win by 2 goals. With him on the ice, they will, and they'll sweep the season series.
Yeah, they have tormented the Sharks all year. You can expect more of that tonight. So there you go. That's your night in the NHL, and tomorrow night ends it for the regular season. That'll be all.
Thank God.
And we can get to serious playoff hockey starting on Saturday.
Everybody loves hockey.
I don't have the schedule yet. Now, if Montreal clinches tonight, I would think we'll have a schedule tomorrow for the first couple days at least of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll know who's going to get the party started on Saturday. So hopefully that does happen from that aspect. All right, there you go. Everybody loves hockey. NFL. Tomorrow we will be 1 week away from the NFL draft. That's right. Sneaking up around the corner.
Exciting.
Everybody's very excited for the NFL draft because as I was reading an article today about it, Scotty, and the excitement is that nobody knows who's going to go where aside from like the top three. I guess the top three, everybody knows it's going to be Ward and Carter and Hunter. And then other than that, nobody knows after that. Anything can happen in the NFL draft after the top three picks.
Oh yeah, and all the I've heard every single guy that does it for a living put out 50 mock drafts and tell me about 30 trades that are going to happen, and none of it comes true.
I'll save this actually for Sanders. Let me do Hunter first. I'll save what I was going to tell you for Sanders. Travis Hunter, I guess, did an interview where he said he won't play football if he can't play both wide receiver and cornerback.
Sure.
In the NFL. Well, okay. Sure. Like you just said, sure. What does he? I guess he's told all the teams that, right? I'm playing both, or else I'm not going to show up. Is that pretty much the? I don't know if I believe that for a second. I just don't. know.
Well, then go do something else, hotshot.
Go coach. Deion will put him on the staff at Colorado, right? You'd be the defensive back coach.
Go play pickup down at the Y. I mean, why not just give it all up because you don't like the way NFL teams run their businesses?
Look, I think it's all nonsense anyway because I do think whoever takes him is at least at first going to play him in both. Not all the time, but he's going to play both.
Situationally.
And then they're going to find out. Exactly. And then they're going to find out what's he best at. And as I've said to you a bunch of times, when they find out what he's best at, they're going to tell him that's all you're doing because that's what we're going to pay you for. And you're going to do just that. The Giants will have a private workout with Shedeur Sanders tomorrow. In fact, they're also having private workouts with Action Jackson Dart and that kid Shuck from Louisville who stinks. So they're having a couple of private quarterback workouts as the smoke builds for if the Giants are going to take a quarterback here in the draft. Smoke building.
I really don't understand the purpose of the private workout if they're not going to draft him. I mean, it's just a waste of time.
People who cover the Giants say that there are split in the organization. Some want to take him and some don't. And they're having the private workout to iron out all of those differences between each other to see what they want to see.
They need to figure out what they want to do and get everyone on the same page because they've been split these last couple of seasons, and we saw what happened to them. I mean, they're a disaster. They're not the franchise that they used to be. The great football Giants with 4 Super Bowl trophies. Those days are long gone.
Now, the Saints, I believe, are the team that's favored to take Sanders. I saw, and this is what I was going to say to you, I've seen several people's mock drafts today that he could fall to the Steelers at 20 or 21, wherever the Steelers are picking.
I don't believe
and
that.
They would get him.
I really don't. I'll believe that when I see it. And I'll tell you what, the Saints don't have a quarterback. Their quarterback's done for the year. They need a quarterback worse than anybody. The Giants don't even need this kid right now.
No, the Giants need impact players everywhere. They need impact players everywhere.
At every position.
Every position they need them.
Who else? Who can maybe provide a test? Who can maybe be a challenger and a contender elsewhere around the Eastern Conference?
top two is going to be a runaway. But I guess if I had to choose, Ben, it's going to be the Knicks. At least they have the talent to somehow upset teams that are better than them, but they can't in the regular season. Maybe it changes in the playoffs.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread water, so I think that puts it in a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today. Only on SportsGrid.
They have already decided, it would appear to me, from what you're telling me, that they're satisfied with the quarterback room as it stands now.
Shedeur Sanders does not have the value to go at number 3. I know they need a quarterback. It's about this season with Russell Wilson, okay? No question he's going to be the starter. Winston will back him up. But the future they can get next year.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Everybody loves leftovers.
Everybody does love leftovers. Let's see what we have for you this evening. Arizona State running back Cam Scatabo has visited the Cardinals, the Browns, and the Giants. Him, like everybody else, has visited teams. It has happened. He's taking visits. Everybody's taking visits.
It's the most worthless thing we've talked about in the NFL over the last 2 months is guys visiting teams. What a worthless, pathetic non-story it is. I'll say this, though. As for that kid, he's a football player. That kid can flat out play. He is a monster with giant legs like trees, and he runs over people, and he gets everything out of his body. I mean, this guy plays. I mean, every time you tackle him, he still gets 3 more yards. He scores touchdowns. He throws passes. He catch passes. He does it all. I think that kid's a great football player. Someone's going to love him on their football team. You talk about guys like Jusic and others that they love. They're going to love this kid. Someone's going to love having him on their football team. I think he's a flat-out baller.
There are 17 prospects who are going to actually make the trip and be in attendance in Green Bay next Thursday night, including the expected top 3 picks in the draft. Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter. They will all be there in Green Bay. Shedeur Sanders is not going to Green Bay. Jalen Milroe is. Jackson Dart, Matthew Golden, Malachi Starks, Mikael Williams, Ashton Genty, of course, running back expected to go high. They'll be in Green Bay.
Listen, it's going to be a great event in Green Bay. I think, initially, I think the first round's always relatively exciting, and the rest of it's as boring as a wedding.
Milroe must know something if he's going, because a lot of people have him second round pick. And, usually you don't show up if you're not going to be a first rounder. So maybe Milroe knows something that we don't in the latter half of the first round. That he's going to get drafted.
I know this sounds crazy, but the Steelers do like that kid. They had him there a bunch and dealing with him a bunch. So they may have already licked their lips on that one. They like him, but who knows? I've always told you, I know people think they're experts in this, and no one is. Let me tell you something else. The best part of the draft is when it's over and I see the see the list of guys that my team got, and, I've heard of about 2 or 3 of them. So let's get real here. Everyone around here acting like there's some kind of genius about the NFL draft. I mean, it's better than watching comedy. It's better than watching stand-up comedy. Watching guys predict trades and who's going where to what team, when, in what position. It's the most botched nightmare I've ever seen in sports. It's every year I watch this. They butcher this thing like no other thing in sports. All these guys that think they can predict where these guys are going and what these teams are doing, it really is a lost art because there's no art to it at all. What you got to do is sit back and wait and see who you get. It's that simple. Don't waste your time thinking you know something. Stop. It's ridiculous. I've never seen anything worse than people acting like, oh, this guy's the next player on the board. He's the best talent of blah, 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 blah.
The kid Danny Wolf from Michigan enters the NBA draft. He's leaving Ann Arbor. Sam Houston State, yes,
he'll make
going
it
to the NBA.
7-footer, he got game.
Sam Houston State guard Lamar Wilkerson, known as the best available shooter in the portal, is going to Indiana. You mentioned that with DeCourcy yesterday. He picked Indiana over Kentucky.
I saw him drop about 30 on Indiana at Assembly Hall at the beginning of the year. Believe me, he can shoot.
And finally for me, Charlie Ward, former Heisman Trophy winner, played point guard for the Knicks, of course, in the NBA. He will be the new head basketball coach at Florida A&M. Charlie Ward getting involved.
I didn't even know they played basketball there. I thought they just played football. And they don't do that well either.
No.
Good luck with that gig. What's the NIL budget there? 50 cents?
Probably around there. A little under.
Jesus, you got to be kidding me. All right, so Ferrall finish. Oh, no. Wink Martindale, the legendary game show host, gone at 91, Carver High. What a run. 91. A gas mask wearing suspect attacks a Massachusetts courthouse. Sprays pepper spray on everyone. My man was on a tear. GTD is next with Joe Ranieri. Get my app, search Ferrall. You'll love it. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 on Coast to Coast.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I'm still optimistic eventually this will happen and they'll get it together. I mean, if Florida can get their act together, Sam, with the tribes, I believe that California can too.
Would bring a lot of money to the tribe, which is also something they really care about. It's an $8 billion market conservatively. It could be even more when it legalizes. The sports books would be sharing revenue with the tribes, essentially doing all their operations and forking over a percentage directly to the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Ty Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.